religion do a lot of harm in the world.
All scientists are religious in that way.
The relationship between religion and science is always going to be a tough one.
La tensión entre el pensamiento científico y la religión se remonta a los inicios mismos de la ciencia.
Well, science and religion are not exactly the same, but they're close.
Religion has been messing up with science for a long part of this history of humanity.
I'm a physicist and a person who believes in religion.
Aún hoy, hay quienes encuentran un conflicto irreconciliable entre estos dos universos.
When you teach your children to be religious, they can't get rid of it.
I have no reason to believe in religion.
You say it's luck, I say it's God. Science cannot prove luck, science cannot prove God.
¿Puede entonces la ciencia convivir sin tensiones con el pensamiento religioso? ¿O se trata de una guerra por la verdad aún no concluida? En la ciudad de Lindau, al sur de Alemania, se reúnen anualmente desde 1951 cerca de 30 premios Nobel de la ciencia y más de 500 jóvenes científicos del mundo entero. Allí, Ivar Geiger, quien recibió el Premio Nobel de Física en 1973, y John Mather, galardonado con el mismo premio en 2006, conversaron con Tech TV. Ambos laureados compartieron con nosotros su camino al Nobel y hablaron sobre el nacimiento de su vocación científica. Además, expusieron sus visiones sobre la relación entre la ciencia y la religión.
So my name is John Mather, and I won the Nobel Prize in 2006 for measuring the cosmic microwave background radiation extremely well.
My name is Ivar Geiger. I was born in Norway, but I went to the United States and I won the Nobel Prize as a United States citizen in 1973.
Ivar Geiger nació en Noruega en 1929. Se formó en ingeniería mecánica en ese país y más tarde realizó sus estudios de doctorado en Estados Unidos. Y al graduarse en 1964, adoptó luego la nacionalidad norteamericana. En mayo de 1973 obtuvo el Premio Nobel de Física junto a sus colegas Leo Esaki y Brian David Josephson por sus estudios de la física del estado sólido. Luego de convertirse en un profesor de la Universidad de Oslo en su Noruega natal, Geiger continuó sus trabajos de investigación en otras áreas. Hoy, este laureado es miembro del Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, la Biosophical Society y la American Physical Society. John Cromwell Mather nació en Virginia, Estados Unidos, en 1946. Realizó sus estudios de grado en física en la Universidad de Swarthmore y luego obtuvo su doctorado en la Universidad de California en Berkeley. Más tarde, se trasladó al Instituto Goddard de Estudios Especiales de la NASA. Obtuvo el Premio Nobel de Física en 2006, junto con George Smoot por sus trabajos en la NASA, más específicamente por las mediciones que obtuvieron a través del satélite COBE o Cosmic Background Explorer. Hoy, Mather trabaja en el telescopio espacial James Webb de la NASA y es profesor de la Universidad de Maryland.
Maybe I will one day the Nobel Prize.
I'm looking forward to win the Nobel Prize for my country.
I will win the Nobel Prize.
I would like to win a Nobel Prize.
Y yo voy a ganar el premio Nobel.
I think I was always interested in science since I was a small child. I do remember visiting the museum in New York City to see the bones of the dinosaurs and the planetarium show and to think about the stars. I also remember hearing my parents read aloud from the biographies of Charles Darwin and Galileo Galilei. So I thought science is very exciting, it's a little dangerous, but it would be great excitement. My father was a scientist. He studied cows, dairy cattle. And my mother's father was a scientist. He studied drugs like penicillin. So There's a history in the family, although I did not follow either of them into their profession.
I always wanted to be an engineer, and that's what I became in Norway. But I managed to get myself a job at the General Electric Research Lab. And that's why I made my most important discovery, that people actually could get paid for doing research. I couldn't believe it. People writing things on the blackboard, and you get paid for it. It's wonderful. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. But it was difficult for me because I'm a mechanical engineer, so when I got there, and I got the job there, I said, what am I supposed to do? My manager said, good work. I say, what does that mean? You know, because normally if you have a PhD degree, you continue your thesis or something. But I was a mechanical engineer. I didn't know what that meant. But fortunately, a person took care of me named John Fisher. He got me straightened out and the right kind of work.
So in college, I wanted to be a particle physicist and study elementary particles because that was the great mystery. In graduate school, I looked for a thesis project that I found was going to measure the cosmic microwave background radiation. Then my thesis project was completed, but the instrument failed to function correctly. An instrument that went up on a very high altitude balloon, and then it did not work. So I thought, this is very difficult. And I thought, I'll do some other kind of research. And then NASA said they wanted proposals for satellite missions. So I said to my advisor, you know, my thesis project failed, but it should have been done in outer space. So we said, we will write a proposal. And we were chosen. The heat radiation that filled the Big Bang 13.7 billion years ago still fills the universe. It's just fainter. We measured it much more precisely with a NASA satellite. And very quickly we achieved the great results we had hoped to find and confirmed that the Big Bang theory is probably correct.
I did what you call electron tunneling, and that's a complicated thing. And I can tell you what John Fisher said to me is that if you take a tennis ball and throw it against a wall, it bounces back. No problem with that. If you throw a tennis ball against the wall enough time, sooner or later it will go through the wall, appear on the other side. Tennis ball look like it always did. There's no hole in the wall look like it always did, and physics permits that. That's the most ridiculous idea I'd heard, but turned out to be true, yeah. And I used my tunneling work with a tennis ball to prove that that theory was correct. The theory of superconductivity. That's the reason I got the Nobel Prize. I am not really terribly interested in global warming. Like most physicists, I really don't think much about it. But in 2008, I was on a panel here about global warming, and I had to learn something about it. Being on that panel became very famous, and I was horrified, because if you search on my name and on global warming together, you get roughly 40,000 hits. That's much more than I get if I search on my name on superconductivity, you know. Linus Pauling is a famous chemist who got the Nobel Prize, and they asked him, did the Nobel Prize change your life? And he said, no, I was already famous. But I was not already famous, so it did change my life a lot. You hear from people that you sort of don't remember, friends you had in the past, get a lot of congratulations, and then in the United States you get invited to give talk at all universities. You feel you have to go to some of them because you've been lucky. And seriously, I was like 44 when I got the Nobel Prize. I rather would have had it at 65. At 65, you're at the end of your career. I was in the middle of my career, and it takes a lot of time away from your career. You know, so in that sense, it's not only a blessing. Not that I mind that I got it, but it's not only a blessing. I like to say what I think. If you have a Nobel Prize, you got to worry about that because people think that you know everything, that you speak the truth. Of course you don't, you just speak your opinion. But you have to worry a little bit because it gets in the newspapers, you know. Your word carries a lot of weight if you have a Nobel Prize. And I don't really like that. I really like that people should find out whether I speak the truth, not to believe it because I have a Nobel Prize.
To me, a Nobel laureate is like a top goal of all science researchers.
As a scientist, it can give you something to aspire to, so you can always seek to make that kind of impact in the work that you do.
They have clarity that makes them different from the rest of the researchers like us.
I think the Nobel Prizes are very important because within the scientific community, there's important work that is happening all the time. And as scientists, it's our job to learn about these things and to know about them.
Just really, really cool people we want to talk to, and we want to pick their mind and understand how that works, get ideas from them.
En el camino hacia la búsqueda de la verdad, la religión y la ciencia han tenido grandes enfrentamientos. Los laureados y algunos de los científicos más importantes del mundo actual reflexionan sobre la posibilidad de convivencia de estos dos universos.
I'm religious in not a traditional way. I don't go to church, but I think about life all the time. I think all scientists are religious in that way. We think about really deep questions about the meaning of things.
If you talk about religion, I'm not, and I'm upset by religion. People in the United States are very religious, and I get upset by that. People in Congress don't believe in evolution. How can they be in Congress and not believing in evolution?
Okay. Do you think that science is now influenced by religion?
I don't think science is influenced by
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not.
Well, I think in some fields it is, really.
Which?
I remember a book of Stephen Hawking. He's talking about conferences that he did. And it was one in the Vatican, in Italy. And he was talking with the Pope, and the Pope told him, okay, you can investigate from the Big Bang to now, but the Big Bang is the creation moment. Don't look for anything else before.
I mean, that's what the Pope said, but Stephen Hawking doesn't believe that.
Of course. That's why I'm telling that religion is trying to...
Okay, to come into science. Okay.
They think that the cosmologists are pushing further the God space. In the sense, before was outside Earth, was in the sky, 1,000 years ago. Now it's outside the galaxy, then farther outside after the Big Bang.
Just look what happened to Galileo, right?
Yeah. In fact, the Nobel Prize of CMB, discovering the CMB, was split in two papers because one of them doesn't believe in the Big Bang. Their religion doesn't accept the hypothesis of a Big Bang. So he asked to split the two papers. One technical paper and the physical paper.
I think if we connect the religion with science, so scientists will make the result agree with their thoughts, and that will be a big disaster, a big disaster. If you do that in our world, we lose the honest science.
En el terreno de la verdad, la ciencia y la religión parecen disputarse las respuestas. Por eso los científicos de hoy aún se preguntan acerca de esta cuestión universal. ¿Puede la ciencia convivir sin tensiones con el pensamiento religioso? Gaber y Mather nos dieron sus perspectivas en torno a uno de los temas más conflictivos en el universo de la ciencia. ¿Se puede ser científico y ser religioso? Con visiones contrapuestas, ambos laureados desarrollaron sus argumentos.
The God that made all of this universe is fantastic. It's beyond human comprehension. So I think when you see or hear someone who says, I know God, I think they can't possibly know God. They can only know a part. So I think one of the joys of science is to look at what creation has been The beauties of science are the beauties of nature and the beauties of creation.
It turned out that 10% of the people in National Academy of Sciences are religious. Normally you're a biologist if you're religious, but the facts are that there's a lot of science which goes against the Bible. And then if you're religious, what are you supposed to do? I mean, and so always have had that problem. And I think religion do a lot of harm in the world. It certainly has done a lot of bad things in the world, and it probably still do.
Puedes creer en lo que quieras y hacer ciencia. Por ejemplo, a mí se me hace muy difícil creer que no hay nada más que la ciencia, ¿no? Entonces, yo sí soy católico, pero yo creo que no hay conflicto con ninguna de las dos. Pues vas a misa, todo bien, y después haces tu trabajo como científico, ¿no?
Yo soy ateo, tengo que decirlo. Y creo que, bueno, la mayoría de los científicos es cierto que son ateos o agnósticos.
Sí, yo sí veo cierta incompatibilidad, pues la ciencia está basada en el método científico y la idea es descubrir todo a partir de la experiencia, no a partir de prejuicios que tengas. Y pues la religión está basada en el dogma, entonces en ese sentido sí creo que son visiones que chocan.
Bueno, yo lo que creo es que como humano, más que como científico, o sea, tú tienes muchos aspectos, ¿no? Tienes el aspecto familiar, tienes el aspecto de tu vida religiosa, tienes tu vida laboral, tienes tu vida pública, ¿no? Entonces, puedes separarlo, o sea, y no porque seas científico quiere decir que no puedas tener una religión. La ciencia ni de cerca está para explicarlo todo, entonces simplemente son dos cosas distintas en la vida de una persona.
Yo creo que tiene toda la razón. A veces en ciencia también se crean dogmas que si uno no cree, entonces también hay como un shock.
Antes de que el conocimiento científico se convierta en una evidencia enorme, hasta que aparecen los libros de texto, la ciencia y la religión no son tan diferentes, porque también los científicos creemos en paradigmas y te puedes encontrar la mitad de la comunidad que cree una cosa, la otra mitad que cree otra cosa. En neurociencia particularmente también ocurre mucho, que los mismos resultados, la mitad de la gente los interpreta de una manera y la mitad de la gente de otra. Es decir, también vamos por paradigmas y por creencias hasta que la cosa se solidifica.
Me parece también que la ciencia se utiliza ahora a veces para un nuevo tipo de religión. Antes el sacerdote decía es la verdad porque lo dice en las escrituras, ahora en la televisión escuchas que está científicamente comprobado y eso es el nuevo dogma. Y la verdad es que hay muchas tendencias científicas y pues mucha gente elige la que le conviene y de esa manera pues lamentablemente se politiza la ciencia, se utiliza para fines no tan humanistas. Pero lo curioso es que una persona del común pues queda sin palabras ante eso. Científicamente comprobado ya, como que eso ya mata cualquier otra posible discusión. Y la verdad es que pues hay muchas teorías científicas, muchas de ellas son completamente contradictorias. Entonces...
Algo estaba científicamente comprobado y pasan 3 años y ya no está científicamente comprobado.
Pasa con cremas para la cara que científicamente comprobado que sirven, no realmente no sirven.
Por eso uno de los premios Nobel también dijo que resignó como miembro de la American Physical Society, porque la American Physical Society había hecho un statement donde decía que la evidencia de que los gases invernadero eran los culpables del cambio climático era incontrovertible. Entonces él encontraba que nada en ciencia era incontrovertible 100% y decidió resignar. No porque no esté a lo mejor de acuerdo, pero no se puede decir que algo es absolutamente incontrovertible.
Well, science and religion are not exactly the same, but they're close. We think about things of great importance. Some people think they're separate because religion talks about things that are not provable, like what are moral principles. Science doesn't address moral principles. But science can tell you something about how it all began, where we're going, some of the laws of nature. And those are beautiful too. Here on planet Earth we have 7 billion people, and I think we have 7 billion religions. All of us have a different religious perspective. So I'm a scientist, I measure things, I try to tell you what I find. I can't tell you about other people's religion.
Unfortunately, there are no scientific methods. If you believe in God, you believe in God, and that's your own privilege. I think that the people who believe in God has done a lot of harm in this world. If you change from Muslim to Christian religion, they'll kill you because you're not, you're a traitor or something. So I think religion basically is bad, and basically it's bad influence on people. There's a guy named Richard Dawkins, an English guy, wrote the book The God Delusion. And the fact is that you teach your children to be religious. When you teach your children to be religious, they can't get rid of it. That's the way it is. I mean, if you said that we're not going to teach religion until you are 17 years old, there wouldn't be many religious people, because it doesn't make sense. So you see, I'm not religious.
Religion don't come in the way of science, and science is itself another religion nowadays, because as we believe, I'm Hindu, and we believe that the religion is always for the betterment of mankind, and so this science is helping the people to live a better life in the field of, say, medicine or transport or aviation or whatever. So I think that the science is itself a new religion nowadays, and all scientists have same religion, so as they're working for the betterment of mankind.
The way science works, the way we work as scientists, is that we're always happy to have our ideas challenged. Religion, on the other hand, tends to rely on certain truths which will never be challenged. The relationship between religion and science is always going to be a tough one.
I myself would say that I would apply Occam razors to religion. I mean, I have no reason to believe in religion, so I wouldn't. I mean, why would I consider a hypothesis that I don't need to continue my living?
Well, if you ask me, I come from India. It's a country that follows religion, and I'll tell you something very, very clearly. It's not that I'm biased, because I'm a physicist and a person who believes in religion. So, religion and science have origin dating back to thousands of years, and we have great people in both the fields. So actually there is no conflict between religion and science, because religion takes me closer to God, and God is nothing but, it's something that I can concentrate upon or turn to when I'm weak at my heart, or maybe I'm weak in my will. Science is the same thing. It gives me reason to live, it gives me reason to pursue things. So there isn't actually any conflict.
I think they're in many ways kind of two sides of the same coin. Science covers all things that fall under the scientific method, meaning measurable and repeatable. Pretty much everything in religion, all of the big religious questions, completely fall outside of the realm of science. This isn't to say they're not important questions, they're just not questions you can answer with science. For example, there's no repeatable experiment you can do to test whether or not there's a God.
Actually, a very good point. The thing LHC at CERN is doing right now is actually trying to find out what happened when the universe had actually been born. Science or technology did not result in the birth of this universe or the growth of a tree. Science is trying to explain religion, basically, or maybe what God did or whatever, whoever did. So religion should take a similar stance. In an area of conflict, religion should start explaining science, and science should start explaining religion.
I don't think science can explain religion.
Well, no. If you can do a repeatable experiment on something, it's science, and religion shouldn't bother with it. And if it can't, it's religion, and science shouldn't attempt to answer those questions either. And
so when science takes a position, religion should just follow then?
No, not necessarily. If a scientist came out tomorrow and said, my data proves there's no God, well, there's no way science can prove that. So they should say, no, you're crazy. That's beyond the realm of science. In many ways, actually, atheism is a more complicated way of thinking than certain religions.
Yeah, it's funny actually what he said right now. Atheism is more complicated. I actually took this point up with Crotto. So tell me something, I'll give you a situation maybe. We both are traveling in a car with another 50 guys, and the car falls in a ditch. I believe in God, you do not. We both are alive, everyone is dead. You say it's luck, I say it's God. What's the difference? Science cannot prove luck, science cannot prove God.
No, it's not, I mean, yeah, but it's up to the personal level, it doesn't really matter.
Our society has to be mature enough. See, what society? Society is made up by you and me. If we are mature enough not to, as he said, collide and take each other into each other's domain, everything's fine.
Religion has been messing up with science for a long part of this history of humanity. Like Galileo, he almost got born in the,
And Giordano Bruno got born.
Giordano Bruno got born. Many other scientists.
I would say
they were blocked by their religious beliefs.
More political pundits doing this in the name of religion.
Wait, but that's the thing.
More than religious itself.
Religion and science can be comparable, but religion and politics should be apart.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Exactly.
Absolutely. I think much of this conflict between science and religion was created sort of artificially by politicians. I mean, I really do think people want to get across a political view, and they realize that a way to do this is to turn religious people and scientists against each other and then manipulate this for their own means.
मैं साइंटिस्ट हूँ
我是科学家
Yo soy científica.
मैं एक साइंटिस्ट हूँ.
Yo soy científico.
The wish for science is that people will go into science and investigate.
My wish for the future of science is that we continue to discover things every day, every year, and that we continue to be of great use to humanity.
Gaber, Mather y algunos de los jóvenes más brillantes del mundo han compartido con Tech TV su punto de vista sobre la convivencia entre la religión y la ciencia. Con realidades y posturas diversas, los jóvenes investigadores y los laureados parecen coincidir en algo. Tanto la ciencia como la religión son inherentes al hombre, y por eso es necesario que convivan con autonomía y respeto.